Uh, Hello? Hello? Okay. All right. Okay. So wonderful people watching this recording. This is the second part of my Advanced Emotions for Dummies series. I am in my office today. Hey, hold up. So I have two screens in my office. So that's why I can't really, I'm looking at the microphone. I'm looking at the screen, the microphone, the screen. I'm gonna pull this monitor down. Okay, I can put this up here. That should be about the same distance. Okay, so I'm in my office today, and I'm going to use these recordings to help me create a more official set of recordings, probably in a few months. Okay, I'm going to put that on my calendar, just so you know that. And what I've decided to do is create this series, make it look really nice, put it up on YouTube, and then people can access it, whenever they want. And then I'm also going to offer free courses on these topics once a week as well. Okay, so that's the plan in the future, just so you know. Okay, so this video is part 2 of our series, which is on this one is inner child work. And this particular video is the video on inner child work. So I have a handout on inner child work that we're going to read. And I could just say a few things while I pull up the screen. Oh, let me find it. 1 second here. Here we go. I have to sign in again. Can't see here we go. Here we go. Share. So last week we went through inner baby work, and we also talked about emotional abuse. And I have to tell you, that was deep. It was real deep. I mentioned I read that handout a bunch of times and cried, but doing that handout and then doing these self-soothing exercises really allowed me to hit a real deep place in the core of my brain to let some things go. So I just want to really encourage everyone to continue doing those exercises, listening to the baby music. So healing, okay? Teaching myself how to relax is a regular part of my practice, and I just can't begin to tell you how hard it was and how rewarding, okay? How rewarding it continues to be. Okay, so today's exercise is all about inner child work, okay? And as I mentioned, this class is week 1 is inner baby work. Week 2 is inner child work. Week 3 is, I'm not entirely sure. Week 3 was how to grieve, and week 4 is deconstructing beliefs. Okay. Okay, so needless to say, inner child work is that thing we all are kind of familiar with, that part of us, that little kid inside. You may not have a fully fleshed out definition of what is an inner child. You just know it's your thoughts about who you were as a kid. Okay. So I put some time into really fleshing out what an inner child is and why it's important. And we're going to kind of cut right into it. Okay. Which is why this is called Healing Toxic Shame. Okay. So this is going to go to some deep places. So, take whatever care you need for yourself. I would maybe even recommend pausing this video and just doing some breathing work just to see where you are right now. Make sure you're grounded, make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're in a safe place, make sure you have the time to feel through what will come up in this worksheet. Okay, it's not called Advanced Emotions for Dummies for nothing. Okay, it's gonna bring up emotions. So really check in with yourself about about what do you do when really difficult feelings come up, you know? If the worst shame you ever felt in your life suddenly came up in the next 20 minutes, how would you deal with that feeling? Is that a, you know, cry it out moment? Is that a reach for the bottle moment? Is that a go take a walk or call a friend moment? Is it a lose my mind moment? Just be really honest with yourself. And then what would be the healthier option for you? Okay. Even if it's, you know, I'm going to lose my mind and go get stoned. Uh, and just so you all know, watching this video, I'm in California, so marijuana is entirely legal. In fact, it's mine. That's probably in the car. My vape was in my pocket. Oh, wait. Here it is. Well, anyway, you know, I might go step out for a while. I just did a worksheet on some painful stuff around wanting sex. You know, let me not get into it, but it's around some sex stuff that was really deep, really deep for me, and it cut to the core of some shame issues I have around my father. Okay, so right before I got on camera here, I spent an hour working through this worksheet, and you know, my honest go-to is I thought I'd kind of have oh no, I can't handle this, and it's going to be reaching for some beer or getting a glass of wine. And then the healthier go-to was I decided to go to the post office, run some light errands, take a real easy, slow drive, and then let the feelings come up as they were coming up, and then actually value feeling it instead of running from the feeling. I did all that just now. Okay. I can't begin to tell you how advanced that is, to be that honest with yourself and to be willing to let yourself feel those things. Okay, so anyway, my point is to check in with yourself about what you can and can't handle, what you need. You can always stop this video the moment you're like, whoa, okay, I've gotten too much information, I need to pause now. You can always watch this video several times over later on, okay? Point is, here's the info, and here I go, okay? And then after I read the info, we have some exercises we can do as well. So this material comes from healer psychic Teal Swan, who has a YouTube page, as well as Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. And I started off with this poem that I found that I really like. This is To a Child by Christopher Marley. The greatest poem ever known is one all poets have outgrown. The poetry, innate, untold, of being only 4 years old. Still young enough to be a part of nature's great impulsive heart. Born comrade of bird and bee, and unself-conscious as the tree. And yet, with lovely reason skilled, each day new paradise to build. A late explorer of each sense, without dismay, without pretense. In your unstrained, transparent eyes, there is no conscience, no surprise. Life's queer conundrums you accept, your strange divinity still kept. And life that sets all things in rhyme may make you poet too in time. But there were days, oh tender elf, when you were poetry itself. Okay, it's all about being a child. Beautiful poem, eh? Oh, I skipped one thing. If you'd like to read along, feel free if you can. If you cannot read along, close your eyes. Just close your eyes, let the words hit the heart. Okay. As babies, we are born with a complete, unique, innate sense of being, but also innocent and powerless. Then we are socialized into a family and a society that teaches us that certain thoughts, actions, and desires are good, acceptable, and others are bad. Or in other words, we learn to judge, compare, which leads to shame and guilt. Guilt is feeling bad about going against your morals. Shame is the recognition of one's limitations. Shame and guilt can either be healthy or toxic. Feeling guilty about something you did promotes thinking about how to do it differently. And feeling shame prompts you to question your beliefs. Ideally, shame teaches us to value our connection to God and appreciate our limited part in the larger picture. However, when we have guilt or shame about a core part of who we are as a person, like our race, class, gender, sexuality, or if your parents made you feel wrong for just being alive or wanting anything, then we develop toxic shame and start to deny and hide who we are so we can be accepted by others. As babies, our parents were our role models and only friends for the first few years of life. And so they literally made up our whole sense of life, our whole sense of the universe. We do not have a developed sense of I yet, so we trust caregivers to model for us both how to be a man, woman, and what to expect from others. By teaching us to eat, bathe, ride a bike, and learn, we start to internalize how we should treat ourselves. Sorry about that. I had a lot of edits in this recently. Shame is so deep that by the age of 3, children have already ingrained in them a model of how to process their shame by watching their caregivers. So not only is the shame we feel ours, it is also the shame we inherited from our caregivers or even ancestors, which can outright crush our childhood ego. Since our parents were our world back then, if our parents gave us good enough support, we grow up feeling the universe is on our side. However, if our parents violated our boundaries, then we feel the universe is against us. If we can call the light the conscious, open, and healthy parts of ourselves, then the shadow is our childhood wounds, deep emotional boundary violations, buried by shame into our subconscious. These parts are in resistance to the light, so addressing them is called shadow work. Because this shadow often begins in childhood, this is also known as inner child work. Okay, that's a pretty comprehensive definition of inner child work there. In a healthy adult-child relationship, the adult demonstrates healthy shame by recognizing their limitations, taking responsibility for how they deal with their feelings, and admitting to their faults. However, in a toxic, shame-based environment, we learn to ignore our feelings, blame, guilt, shame others, take things personally, and never admit to being wrong ever. This teaches children that they are responsible for the abuse that happens to them and the traumatic things they are feeling. Okay, that's not good. To survive this soul murder, we learn to repress everything. Shame is considered a master emotion because it represses everything it touches. Healthy shame can teach you balance and boundaries, but toxic shame teaches you to hide all your feelings. Even if you feel happy or do something good, toxic shame will tell you that your feeling is wrong, you are bad for feeling it, and you need to fight or repress it. There are a million things you may have been toxic shamed over as an innocent child. Your body and its changes, behavior at meal times or bathing, asserting your individuality and choices to your parents or family, religion and cultural norms, expectations, judgments, comparisons by other adults, teachers, friends, school, media, even your basic needs for love, attention, support. Wow. Oh, that resonates so strongly. So hard to read. Even worse, your own inner voice may be filled with the shame, yelling, and pessimism of those who raised you. Your childhood may have had so much shame, you just gave up, abandoned yourself, went numb or silent or bitter, and just became someone else to please everyone or survive the soul murder. Oh man. This ego split means that the two parts of our brain, the frontal rational part and the back emotional part, do not develop together. You can use logic and willpower to change yourself, but your repressed natural emotional self can only react from experience. Consequently, your adult identity may figure out how to be free and assertive, while your inner child self continues to feel 2 decades of poisonous core shaming. Parts of you may be hypersensitive and prone to outbursts of hidden rage, terror, or depression, suicide, the living dead. You may overcompensate for the loss by becoming a superficial nice guy or a caretaker or people pleaser, which hides your needs through enabling, rescuing, and using others. We all want to feel that core badness, emptiness so much, we will engage in anything to feel love. So all unhealthy behaviors, addictions to drugs, food, sex, obsessive compulsive thinking, worrying, judging, codependency, extreme individualism or loneliness, perfectionism, idealism, being superficial, workaholism, keeping busy, constant procrastination, etc., are tied to repressed core shame. Additionally, the trauma of this shame stops the developmental process, keeping a part of ourselves stuck in childhood thinking, fantasies, and roles. We are then set up to hide our issues, never mature, and deflect blame others. Navigating basic adult situations like talking to parents, authority figures, new relationships, success, compliments, criticism, and rejection may be excruciatingly difficult. You may have huge intimacy vulnerability problems or relationships that are centered on enmeshment, fear of abandonment, or control. You may pick a partner who is the embodiment of all the parts you abandoned. Damn, ain't that the truth? Oh man. Oh, you may pick a partner who is the embodiment of all the parts you abandoned, or just like mom or dad. But since we judge people to avoid our own shame, this will make you feel both attracted and repulsed. Shame may affect every single thing you think and feel. You may automatically treat anything or anyone new with fear and judgment. While you may over time construct an adult mental definition of love that's about flowers and candy and the perfect family like the show Full House or Family Matters, our childhood embodied feeling of love is whatever you actually went through as a kid. If that was disrespect, neglect, or abuse, then you may have taken it to your core that love feels like abuse. This is why people constantly beat themselves up, or stay stuck on negative, or stay in abusive relationships even though it doesn't logically make sense. Your whole way of dealing with life can be touched by so much shame in your core heart love tank. You may be a shame-based person, have no idea of what healthy would even be, and no example of it anywhere ever in your life. Ooh. Okay. Let's keep reading. As adults, we often deny our emotional reality by judging our inner child woo-woo as something silly or not really important, much like the adultist ways we view children. However, if we made a graph of our lives, the adult part of us is pretty recent, while the childhood part has been around for much, much longer. This means, ironically, that our inner child is actually the oldest part of who we are. And if the mind is 80% unconscious, There's a strong bet that your unconscious child mind is going to get its way 4 out of 5 times. As the oldest part, it is the most authentic, natural expression of yourself before you were socialized. It is the part that is closest to your heart. Whew, boy. A bunch of thoughts is running through my mind right now about my father not playing with me as a kid. And how that might have taught me that, love comes with abuse. That's in my core. That's what's coming up for me right now, okay? A key part, well, the funny thing was I did that worksheet on sex, but my father came up with that too. Just longing, wanting sex, being really a substitute for wanting some deep love that I didn't get from my father. So just want to point that out there, okay? A key part of healing our inner child is acknowledging, externalizing, and legitimizing any shame you have taken on, including our caregiver's own shame, and to teach ourselves self-vulnerability by making a non-judgmental space of unconditional loving care and uber baby soft sensitivity to slowly let up all those painful repressed feelings. This validation allows us to heal our split off neurotic hurting parts, reshape the negative inner voice we have, and re-examine the roles we use to hide our shame. Once we can handle it, we can open up to new experiences our inner child needs to heal, stand up for ourselves, and express our shame with safe others. Inner child work often involves some kind of play therapy or imagination. The following exercises will help you address shame, judgments of others, and imagining a power word to give you your inner child the power you wish you had then. Whew. Okay. So there's a series of exercises we're going to do here. Okay, and actually it's there's a lot. There's like a bunch of exercises. There's some exercises, then there's the inner child meditation. And we have this here. And we have another meditation on shame and forgiveness. Okay, we got a lot of exercises on getting in touch with our inner child. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to take just 2 minutes, and then I'm going to return, and then we will tackle this, okay? Speaking of that stuff I said about 420 or being in California, I will be right back in 2 minutes. Okay. Now I said all that stuff about taking 2 minutes away, but I have to be honest. I took 2 minutes away to process my feelings. I took 2 minutes away to process my feelings. Reading that stuff is hard. Reading that stuff is hard. It brings up a lot of feelings for me every single time. I can honestly tell you, when I was reading that book, Feeling the Shame That Binds You, and I was writing this handout, cried. I went to a Japanese historical garden. It was locked because of COVID-19, but I slid over the gate, jumped over the gate. And I spent the whole day just crying my eyes out reading this stuff, okay? Actually, many days crying my eyes out reading this stuff. So whatever you feel right now, just honor it, okay? That's why it's an advanced course. Just honor what you feel, okay? And like I said, if it's too difficult, you can always pause this at any time. Tackle another one later, okay? Okay, here we go. So how to heal from shame. Let's start with the first one. Get hella good at unrepression. While repression can always be an option, it should never be your first automatic one. This is why expressing any of our emotions is healthy, because it's a start to unlearning the toxic core shame repression process. You may have been holding on to shame from your parents since you were 3. So allow yourself to breathe, rest, meditate, imagine, and unrepress everything. Every thought, feeling, relationship, habit, assumption, like, dislike, smell, animal, vegetable, mineral, literally everything, good, bad, otherwise, if it arises in any way, and especially if you know you hide yourself behind it, let yourself unrepress it. Whew. Okay, so let's just start with that, okay? Take some deep breaths, go inside yourself. If you can think of anything you're repressing, consciously repressing, might be holding your stomach in. You might be trying not to think about something. Maybe a worry that's coming up. Maybe you're trying to concentrate. You're repressing like your daydreams, your fantasies. Maybe you're repressing how tired you really feel right now. Whatever it is, you can think of something. Maybe you're repressing how bored you really are, how uncomfortable this chair is. Whatever it is, allow yourself to unrepress that feeling. Now, I'm not saying it's going to feel good, okay? It might not. But the point is to learn unrepression, not to learn repression. Some of us are pros, like expert ninja pros at repressing things. Because at a very early age, we learn very quickly that, well, I can't be accepted, so I'll just repress, okay? And I mean, any little thing, even, I don't know, I want to tell someone I care about them, but when I tell them I care, they made fun of me, so now I don't ever tell someone I care about them. I mean, a lot of us as young boys especially got a lot of, messages like that, and we learn to repress our feelings. That's a huge thing. Okay, so whatever that is, for me, that time I wore that slap bracelet, and this large boy came at me all angry and told me boys don't wear slap bracelets. The fear I felt that day, if I'm willing, unrepress it. Do this in whatever way you can handle. And I mean, this is all about, like, at any time. If you find yourself eating dinner and kind of repressing your feelings, make space to unrepress. If you're in a conversation with someone and you notice you repress your feelings, make space to unrepress. If you're going to bed and you notice you do whatever you do to go to bed, you're repressing your feelings, make space to unrepress. If you notice you get really stressed out, so you start repressing your feelings, make space to unrepress. If you notice when you start running late, you're stressed, you're trying to make deadlines, you repress your feelings, make space to unrepress. Okay. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay, come back to. Move on to the next one. Give me a give my brain a second here. So needless to say, you can practice that one and many, many times over. The next one is discuss healthy shame. A kid who feels limitations is not good. But an adult who doesn't feel their limitations is not a healthy adult. So get comfortable with acknowledging all your limitations. Start small. Number one, name something of low importance that you can't do right now and say, I can't go take a walk because, and think of one reason why you can't do it and just sit with the feeling of your limitations. Okay, so let's try that. Well, I can't go take a walk right now because I'd rather be sitting here making this video. Okay, what does that feel like? Okay. I can't drive back to Santa Cruz right now because I'm here making this video. Sit with that. I can't make dinner right now because I'm here making this video. Just sit with that. I can't go look at the sun right now because I'm here making this video. Just sit with the feeling of your limitations. That's a weird feeling that comes up, but it's, oh. I can't go fishing right now because of this video. I'm making this video. I can't take a shower because I just don't have the resources to take a shower right now. I'm keeping this really basic. It's not, I couldn't love my third boyfriend as much as he could because I just had too many wounds of my own. Now, I could go there, and I can go there very easily. But just start basic and go deeper. More advanced, here's the rest of that number 2, by the way. More advanced is to say, I'm not good enough to blank and find one good thing about the shame you just felt. Okay, so keeping it light, I'm not good enough to take a shower right now because I value making this video over being someone who would take a shower. One good thing about not being good enough to be someone who's taking a shower right now is the fact that I get to be someone who gets to make these things, put this stuff out there, and hopefully it reaches other people. I prioritize that kind of charity, compassion, education over my physical cleanliness, over temporary physical cleanliness. And that's a good thing. I'm not good enough to go look out at the sun right now. I'm not good enough to make dinner right now because I'm someone who can wait to make dinner later so I could do the things I care about first. Do these other things I care about first. That's one good thing about me. I'm not someone who's just super impulsive. I listen to my impulses, but then I guide myself with a good bit of like logic and reason and rationality. That's a good thing. Ooh, sit with that feeling. Sit with that feeling. That's totally bringing up shame. That's totally discussing healthy shame. Shame is not just bad. You gotta learn healthy shame. Making space for that. And the next one is, if your limitations point to core shame, try one of the following. Number 1, labeled wrong. Go through this worksheet and name something that you struggle with. Why are you that way? What happened? What did you have to label wrong about you to become that way? Imagine what you wish would have happened instead. Okay, so let's see. Something did stick out for me when we were I paused. I think I paused and said it. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, it said your whole way of dealing with life can be touched by so much shame in your core heart love tank. You may be a shame-based person. I have no idea what healthy would even be and no example of it anywhere in your life. And when I said those words, what came up for me, actually it was our childhood embodied feeling of love is whatever you actually went through as a kid. If that was disrespect, neglect, or abuse, then you may have taken it to your core that love feels like abuse. And I just feel like on some level, I do feel that way, that I've taken it to the core. I feel like my parents just were never really there for me in terms of like really intimate playing with me, that kind of thing. I was fed and clothed. I had a middle class lifestyle, but I didn't feel like my parents were like really emotionally there. And both of them were abused as children. So you know, they did the best they could by a million miles, but they still weren't, they didn't give me what I needed because they didn't get it themselves, right? So okay. So I struggle with feeling like pain, like neglect and pain in my core around love. Neglect and pain around love. Why am I that way? What happened? Well, I feel like my parents didn't play with me, didn't give me the labeling, didn't give me what I needed. Now, okay, what did you have to label wrong about you to become that way? What did I have to label wrong about me to become that way? Well, that basically needing love, wanting love, meant opening yourself up to pain. Wanting love meant opening yourself up to getting frustrated, being misunderstood, hurt, feeling empty. And just wanting to be a human being who just was open to open, just open. An open, loving human being meant getting really disappointed with love. Like something must be wrong with me. I make love disappointing, or just I'm not meant to be someone who actually feels fulfilled and happy. It's just not meant to be. So what did I have to label wrong about me to? Oh, this is going deep. What did I have to label wrong about me to become that way? I had to label like the innocent part of me that just would have felt loved and present with the universe for just being alive, that innocent child just being aliveness. I had to label that wrong to explain why no one spent time with me. The innocent part of me that feels like life would just naturally bring me what I need to be complete in the world. I had to label all that wrong. Imagine what you wish would have happened instead. I wish my parents would have constantly put money and effort to like put me into like piano lessons and meeting other people and really being open with my life. Because I think if they had did that, I would be somebody. Okay, let me imagine it. They're taking me to those things. They're constantly talking about what my needs are. Maybe there's a poetry reading I go to. Maybe there's a painting thing I'm a part of now. I'm always doing all this stuff. You know, sometimes things are working out nice and I like it. Sometimes I get sick of it fast, but they're always supporting me. They're always giving me the support. Oh, oh, mm, oh, oh. They're playing with me. My dad's catching the ball. He's smiling at me when he catches the ball. My mom's like showing me how to cook. Maybe we're making a mess, but we're having fun. We're laughing together. These are all things that never happened in my real motherfucking life, okay? But I'm imagining them, and holy smokes, is it bringing me joy. Ooh. Okay, they really listen to me. Like, I'm upset. I'm upset. I'm on my bed. I'm upset. My mother actually stopped washing dishes to sit down and just listen. Listen forever on in. Half of what I said, I don't even think makes sense, but she's just actually just listening. I got it all out. She said she finished, she had to go back and wash the dishes. She said she'd come back later. She came back 20 minutes later and she had some wise thing to say about all the things I said that I couldn't possibly have thought of. And then she's so right and I'm so vulnerable. Maybe I cried and she held me. Maybe I'm crying and she held me. These things never happened in my actual life. These are the things I wanted. So let me feel them. Let me just feel them. Maybe she even wiped away the tears herself. And she didn't tell me, oh, it'll be okay. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. No, she let me just fully have it out and just held me. The other thing that comes up for me is I imagine, the day I wanted to tell my parents I was gay, or the day I wanted to tell them I was genderqueer, and how afraid I was to say those words, and how locked down and shut down I got those days after that. And I just wish I could have just opened up and said those words. Or I just wish my mom would have came up to me later and said, "No, I was watching you, and I noticed you got all shut down all of a sudden. And is this what's going on?" So that way it would have just been out in the open, and it wouldn't have been so much me damaging myself. So that's what I imagine, just us having that conversation, me being so afraid. Maybe I tell her to not tell anyone for me because I'm so afraid, but she promises to keep my secret, and I know she has my back. Just even that. Whatever examples you came up with. And again, you can pause this video and, oh, Jesus. Oh, that's amazing. My brain is popping in all kinds of ways. Okay. Okay, that's one of them. Okay, here's another one. Hiding shame. Okay, another thing you can do is make a list of all the things you don't really want everyone or anyone to know about you, and tell yourself the story about what happened and identify the shame you are still holding on to. Is there anything healthy about your boundaries, limitations, or humanness that you can learn from the situation now? Okay, so let's see. What's something I don't want anyone knowing about me? Now that's hard to say because this is going to go on YouTube, so I got to be careful what I pick. Uh, let's see. What's something I don't want anyone knowing about me? Well, here's one. Okay, I've never had a long-term relationship. I've never been in a intimate sexual relationship that lasted longer. I had one than 3 months. In 3 months, I've had one that lasted a year, but most of that year was long-term. Most of that year was long distance. Outside of the long distance part, it was we spent about 3 months together. Okay, I've never had a long-term relationship that lasted longer than 3 months. Okay, now why does that happen? For much of my 20s, I had very little patience. For much of my 20s, things would happen and I would rush into things fast and then find out things I couldn't handle and then had no patience to deal with it. So I would break up with people really fast. And I had no patience because I had no patience for myself. All these painful feelings I had going on inside of me. I had no way of knowing throughout my 20s that I had all this stuff going on around my parents not giving me the emotions I needed. Like I knew that stuff, but I had no idea how important, how central it was to my understanding of myself and my feelings. I didn't grow up in a family that talked about feelings. So not until I researched all this stuff did I know this. So I couldn't have known. All that shame I was holding on to about not feeling good enough, not being cared for, no one being there for me. So the moment I felt like someone told me, the moment I found some information out that I couldn't handle, it triggered all these feelings of, oh no, I made the hugest mistake in the world. I'm stuck in a relationship with someone who won't be there for me. Yeah, and that brings up my dad all over again. And so I had a total flip out, total flip out. Oh, my brain. Oh, yeah, yeah. Hmm. I mean, why would you even have patience for people if you're gonna feel like they're gonna betray you or they're not really gonna be there for you? I mean, I could also toss in the confusion and frustration it feels to have a parent who is there for you physically, but not there for you at all emotionally. It's like gaslighting, because if they're not there physically at all, you give up trying to rely on them. But because they are there physically, you keep trying and then getting disappointed. So, frankly, I call that emotional neglect and abuse. And that's more damaging than, frankly, that's the most damaging part of a parent not being there, physically or not. Okay, then is there anything healthy about your boundaries, limitations, or humanness that you can learn from the situation now? Is there anything healthy about your boundaries, limitations, or humanness you can learn from the situation now? Well, looking back on my dating life, one healthy thing is I got to really explore my sex life and what works and don't work for me. There was a lot of standing up for myself in terms of relationships that I did. I mean, there's a lot of people I meet who will put up with a lot of BS. I don't put up with BS in relationships. I will say that. They didn't last long because many of them were very unhealthy. And so that's a good thing that they didn't last long. And in the end, it all brought me back to getting in touch with my feelings, connecting it to my childhood stuff. I mean, that's all a beautiful thing, really. It led to me doing this work. Okay, all the things I may have been shamed about. All those things I don't want anyone to know about me. All those things I won't mention on a video. Okay, you could go into all those things. Okay, so give that a shot. That's another exercise. Give that a shot. Okay, so our next exercise is the inner child meditation. Okay. So let's do this. I don't know if I should have did these necessarily in this order. I did it in this order because it's about shame first. Maybe we should have did the inner child meditation first. That might have been easier. I don't know, depending on whatever you're feeling right now. Well, anyway, here's the next exercise. So if you've had enough pause, if you want to go deeper or you want to do more, here's the next exercise, okay? Take some deep breaths. Okay, we're going to go into meditation mode. With meditations, I always say, just notice your breathing. I don't say close your eyes anymore. I just say, notice your breathing, because you're breathing whether you like to or not. Breath happens whether you like to or not. I'm not saying change your breathing or slow down your breathing. I'm saying just notice it. Whatever your breathing looks like, it's happening all the time. So just notice it. And then see what happens when you notice your breathing. Does it slow down or speed up? Does it broaden out? Does it take over your body? Does it go into your chest, into your belly? Just notice your breath. Then see if you are willing to slow down your breath. Just 1 second for each in-breath. 1 second each out-breath. Just see if you're willing to slow down your breath. Because needless to say, the more still you get, the more you can sit with your feelings. And then allow yourself to just sink down like you're going down an elevator. Each breath sinking down. Each breath down the elevator. Each breath you feel yourself sinking down deeper and deeper into yourself. Hitting ground floor and still sinking down to the basement levels, sinking down even deeper and deeper. And while you sink down, let your feelings, all the feelings you might feel in your body or in your brain, all that energy you may feel in your brain, let it sink down into your heart. Down into your heart, past the ground floor, into the basement levels, into your heart. Oh, and when you feel you can't go any further down, the elevator will stop, but you will keep breathing. And before you, you see a huge door, one that you recognize from childhood. It can be any door you want. A bedroom door, a bathroom door, a car door to a park, a car door that opens up to the park. Whatever you need, just some place that makes you feel childhood and preferably good and safe. So, if that wasn't your bedroom, that could have been a bathroom. And if it wasn't a bathroom, it could have been a trip to McDonald's. Maybe you opened the McDonald's door. And that was one moment you knew you were getting food at least, so you felt some kind of safety. I mean, if we want to stretch this, maybe it was the door to a dollhouse. Just some moment. The casing on a phone. The opening the front cover of a book. We've all been through who knows what as kids. So, maybe if it's even you pulling back a bedspread or opening a drawer, maybe you kept something special in a drawer so that one moment you opened the drawer and reached for your special thing. That was your moment of safety. If that's it, go there. And just imagine that door. Imagine you opening it and going into it. And you looking and seeing the room or whatever that that door opened up to, just seeing it for what it is, what you remember from your childhood. And then suddenly you look over and there's a mirror. And when you look at that mirror, suddenly, bam, it's you as a child. Excuse me. So take a look at yourself. Have you stare back at you. Just what do you feel about the image you're looking at? What does the image feel about you? Maybe there's some words that need to happen. Maybe you can exchange some words or give them a hug. What is their emotional energy? I have to be honest with you. The emotional energy I'm feeling, my child self is looking all kind of nervous at me. My adult self is looking at my child self and going, yeah, you're fine. You're totally fine. You were worried back then, but you're totally fine. But my child self is looking at me and going, well, man, you did all that stuff already with your life. You need to rest. You really need to rest. I'm worried about you. You need to rest. There may be some words that, only you could share between you and your inner child. So share those words now. First time I did this exercise, the first thing that came up to me was to say I'm sorry to my inner child for not being there the way I needed them, the way they needed me to be there for me, or the way I needed to be there for me. Excuse me. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is yell a power word. So a power word, let me read this. Since our boundaries may have been totally violated as children, as an inner child meditation, I want you to think of a power word. So I want you and your inner child to hold hands, maybe sit down on the bed, or maybe look into the mirror, or hold yourself as your child. Whatever it is, you and your inner child get together. Your power word is a word you would have yelled as a child if you had 100% all of the power in your young life. What would you have said to the adults in your world if you had the power? Some examples are stop, enough, listen, leave me alone, I can do it, or I can't do it. Okay. Practice yelling this word in your head when we do our inner child meditation. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. Now, if you're in a safe place to yell this word, and I probably should not have yelled it in front of the camera. I should have yelled it this way maybe, okay? But if you're in a safe place to do this, you can just yell this word. Maybe you're in your house doing this and no one will hear you, then yell this at the top of your lungs, because we hold all this energy in our body, and so the actual physical process of yelling will get it out. Okay, it's an important part of healing from trauma. If you are not in a safe place to yell, you can scream into a pillow. Okay, that's one thing you can do. You can go into your car and do this. That's another safe thing you can do. You can scream into a pillow, or you can just mentally scream this in your mind. Okay, but if you mentally scream it in your mind, I want you to really give it your money's worth. Okay, like imagine a situation where you would be yelling this power word. Really put yourself back there, which isn't hard to do. Really put yourself back there and then mentally scream this word at the top of your lungs like you were the kid in control. Okay. So like you healing using our imagination. Okay. So the first one I will scream because I'm in a building where no one's here. Okay. So the first one I will scream, and then the second one we'll do it again, and I'll do it in my mind. Okay. And well, I don't know what my power word is yet. So let me just think of one. Given what I was talking about earlier. Okay, you ready? So you're yelling it out louder in your mind. You want to give it all you got. Okay, real gusto. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Fucking play with me already! Fucking play with me! Oh, Jesus. Ooh. Pause and feel. And I gotta tell you, that felt pretty good. So I might do that again, since I have the privilege of being in a place where I can yell. Okay, you again might be in a place where you can't. I got a ding. If you're not in a place where you can yell, then I'm just gonna say. If you're not in a place where you can yell, then I'm just gonna say, do it again in your mind. Again, you may want to try going into a car and doing this, okay? Because it might really be more effective. I usually do it in my mind when I teach, but I'm noticing actually yelling is fucking incredible, okay? It's fucking incredible. Okay, so let's try it again. You can either keep the power word you had, or you can try a different power word. Okay, let me think for a second. Okay, I got one. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, ready? Think of it in your mind and scream it out loud. 1, 2. And by the way, hold on. This is pretty advanced, okay? Because I've been doing this for about a year or two now, okay? Your word may not sound like this, and you're free to stick with the basic words I picked. Stop, enough, listen, leave me alone. Okay, I would stick with that for a long time, but I'm gonna yell something kind of advanced, okay? Okay. 1, 2, 3. This is too fucking dysfunctional! Pause and feel. Pause and feel. Okay, like I said, every single one of these is a lot, so we got a few more to go. You may want to call it a day, or you may want to keep going. So we're gonna keep going. I promised I would keep going, so I'm gonna keep going. Okay. Like I said, this is advanced, so do what you feel you need to do, okay? Okay, the next one is finding your suppressed self. Okay, this is all about finding someone you judge and then using who you judge to learn something about you. Okay. Okay, so let's just show you how this works. This will be pretty quick, actually. Oops. So number one is, who do you judge or don't like? What bugs the crap out of you? Write down everything you don't like about them. You can also do it on part of a person, like my mother's anger. So I'm going to do it on my father. I judge my father. I judge him that he put so much effort into financially taking care of a family, but wasn't there emotionally. You know what? Let me write these down. Hold up. There financially, not emotionally. What bugs me about him? Too passive. He was too passive at home. Didn't play with me. Well, not just say passive, passive and isolated. He stayed isolated on a computer constantly. Okay. Anything else? Emotionally shut down. Oh, I said that. Yeah, okay. Well, we're good. Stubborn. Well, he was also stubborn. Okay. Okay, number two. What would that person think about you? Okay, what would my father think about me? He would think I am too much, too complicated, too emotional. He was always kind of like, he was a know-it-all. So he would think I was short-sighted. Or just wrong. How about that? Or just wrong. Maybe even crazy. Like crazy. Crazy, wild, maybe confusing, irritating. That's what he would think of me. Okay. What's the number three? What's the worst case scenario for the person you picked the number one? Imagine the worst happening. And my worst case scenario for my father would be he grows old, stubborn, unhappy, alone. In a nutshell. In a nutshell, that would be it. Yeah. Uh-huh. Number four is, what's the worst case scenario they would think of you? What's the worst case scenario that my father would think of me? Probably that I injure myself doing something crazy. Not thought through, not thought out. He was Mr. Plan. Okay, number five. What would happen if you were a little like the person in number one? How would your life improve? How would my life improve if I was more like my father? The first thing that came up for me was I immediately felt a feeling of, I can tell you how I wouldn't improve. Okay. So how would it improve? How would it improve if I was more like my father? Well, I'd be more prudent. I'd be financially responsible. I'd be more financially responsible. I'm pretty good in that department, but I'd be more financially responsible. I would plan better. I would plan better. And I feel like I would have more a logical way to achieve my goals. Maybe I would think more logically. Let's say that. I don't know. I don't know if I entirely believe that, but he definitely thought that. So anyway, my life, maybe I would be more logical. Maybe. Okay, number 6. What words in number 5 resonate for you? Being able to be planning better. Being able to plan better. I would like that. I'm not good at planning. I would definitely like that. I suppose prudent. Prudent and logic kind of take a back step, but planning better. I like that. Okay, so that is your suppressed self. Okay, so that's my suppressed self, the part of me that doesn't like the plan, doesn't want to plan, doesn't like the plan, is not good at planning. Okay, number 7, what are some of the ways in which you suppress your suppressed self? Okay, there are times I could plan and I just don't. I focus on other things. And then when it comes to like last minute stuff, I just go with the flow of it or it don't happen. So I don't teach myself how to plan. That's one. I could also say I judge planning as boring. So often I don't want to do it. Okay, planning often makes me anxious because then I have to actually put it all together and mentally run through it. And that builds up a lot of anxiety. So like, it's hard enough to actually do it, but I have to plan it and do it. Well, then that's twice as much anxiety. So often to avoid the anxiety, I will not plan. That's honest. Okay, yeah. Part of me also wants to say, because my father constantly hyper planned everything, and it killed so much fun that I view planning as boring sometimes too. So sometimes I don't plan because it's boring. I won't see it as necessary because I don't want to be bored. And if I'm bored, I want to. Why would I even want to do it at all? Okay, there you go. That's good. And then number 8, how could you support your suppressed self? How could you support your suppressed self? How could I support the part of me that would like to plan better? I could acknowledge that if I'm making plans, it's important to me, and then what's equally important is to make the time for the plans. What's equally important is to make space for the anxiety that planning will bring up. You want the trip to go well, so you don't have so much anxiety. You need to plan. I planned to move just now. I moved on the 1st. Okay, it was stressful, but actually the planning part, I had a task to take care of every day. Called the mover, change the mail, whatever it was. I'm still updating credit cards and everything else. I got to do that tomorrow. I had a plan. The plan made it much less stressful, so that when the day came of moving, it just kind of naturally rolled into finishing the last couple of boxes to pack up and waiting for the mover to come and then getting it out of there. And there was some stress around, of all things, I spent too much money buying wine, and then I had literally I needed $80 to make my full rent and deposit payment, and I couldn't make it in 2 payments. And so I had to do this whole thing with going to the bank and getting a cashier's check and yada yada yada. But that happened and it was stressful. But it was the only stressful thing that happened that day. And had that not happened, minus $80, I would have been the most relaxing move I have ever had ever. And that's because all about planning. Because I planned really well. So I could become somebody getting older who could become good at planning. That the plan is just as important as the doing. And if I was good at planning and I was kind to myself and worked through my feelings as I plan, I might be someone who does a lot more. So that's important to acknowledge, okay? Okay, and that's a real father thing, right? The father is like the planner of the family, I guess. All right, so that's something I didn't get. I didn't get in a healthy way. I got in a really overbearing kind of way. Okay, so this is teaching me a lot about how I as an adult can reparent myself and being better at how I make plans. Okay, so that's that exercise. Okay, I think we're on to our last one here. Okay, our last one here is another meditation. Okay, this is a meditation on shame and forgiveness that I wrote, which is adapted from a woman. Her name is Marianne Williamson. Meditation on forgiveness of self and others. Marianne Williamson is well, I think she was once an actress who became a spiritual healer person. She's big into this thing called the Book of Miracles, and she's like a minister. Okay, so she had this great thing she put together, but then I decided to write my own version of it that was really focused on inner child stuff. Okay. Okay. So to end our class here, we're gonna do this. We're gonna just read through this. I'm gonna put some music on in the background, so that way you can just hear some music. If I put inner child healing music, Let's see if something shows up that's really, I want this one. It looks like I must have used this one before too. You know what? Hold on. Let's try one more. Let's just see what this one is. I'm just curious. Oh, I like spacey stuff, you know? Much of this music on YouTube actually has like special binaural beats that correspond to your inner child self, or hit some wavelength. If you believe in all that stuff, you know, a lot of inner child stuff is, I mean, a lot of people, the Greeks and things, argue that God was in harmonies and music and sounds, and the harmonies vibrate with the universe, all this stuff. So anyway, let's return back to our breath. The next time I do this, I may change some of the order and make it from easier to harder if I can. But I do like the fact that it shakes all this up, because this stuff is really not easy to feel through. Okay. Let your breath slow down if you are willing. And just go as deep into your heart as possible. These words. And now we pray that our higher power reveals to us our true identity, so that we may know who we truly are. That we may awaken to the truth and original innocence in us. And now, with your eyes closed, knowing you needn't go anywhere, you needn't do anything. God is as close to us now as they will ever be. For God is love, and we in our limited mind are only beginning to see. Here in this holy place is the strength and power we have been hiding. Here in this holy place is the health, faith, and purity from which we have been hiding. Here in this holy place is the forgiveness of self and others, which we have been denying, but now we are ready to grant. Here in this holy place is the self-confidence we have never claimed, but now we are ready to claim. Here in this holy place is our free, eternal self, which we may have repressed, but in this moment we are ready to perceive. Willingly and consciously, we pull from our core to release into the hands of our higher power all the painful, repressed memories of our childhood shame. We unrepress the beliefs that made us feel small. We unrepress feeling broken, smashed up, or defective. We unrepress our inner critic that judges ourselves. We release the jealousy, envy that we hold against others. We repress all the times our uniqueness wasn't valued. We let go of playing a role or having to fit in no matter what. We unrepress all our beliefs about who we should be. We open up to the wounds we feel in our core. We unrepress chronic worrying, clutching, hoping, and holding on. We release our core stress, panic, fear, anger, and defeat. We unrepress thinking we could save them. We release any core feelings of being all alone. We unrepress from any notion of perfectionism. We forgive the little kid that thought it was all their fault. We unrepress all our self-abandonment. We unrepress all our approval seeking. We unrepress from everything to make space for God's love. Exorcism. And now we allow our higher power to guide us into the space of our true identity. Where we feared our childhood sensitivity, we shall embrace the innocence that always made us special. Where our parents filled us with their criticism and disrespect, we give ourselves the apology we always wanted, so we may give it to God. Where we were pushed without support or fought for love, we shall care for our inner child like a newborn baby. Where we lived in drama and survived through extremes, we shall learn balance and open to the boringness of life. Where we were repressed through unwanted gifts, are told to just be grateful, we open to the simple, we open to the gift of pure, simple, honest goodness God put in all of us. Where we remember our deepest fears, we release them so we may feel comfort. Where our longing for love led to spankings instead, we now open our sorrow to God's unconditional love. Where we have held on to blame and victimization, we now forgive ourselves by putting it back into His hands. Where our voice was silenced with secrets, we shall speak with a higher authority. Where we made plans, we now pray that God make her plans for us. Where we struggle to just serve ourselves alone, the world shall be served through our natural gifts. Where we played like mama's girl, we shall now be a woman. Where we acted like daddy's boy, we shall now be a man. Here within the core of your mind and heart is your communion with your higher power. Every day, open up to this most innocent of sacred places. Hear what God is saying to you. Feel their hand upon you. Allow them to unrepress your mind. Heal your body. Heal your heart. Allow them to release your subconscious shame. In silence and sound, hear them remind you who you are. In your mind and heart, know that you do not walk alone. Okay, I'm going to turn down this music. Let's turn down the music a bit there. Taking this moment before we open our physical eyes to send our blessing to each other, to the world, past and future, to send our goodwill to every inner child joined with us, knowing that having been touched by the divine hand of God, we shall not be who we were. With humility, gratitude, and with praise, together we say, Amen. Okay, wonderful people. Wherever you are in this process, just stay where you are, because that was really deep. That was really deep. Let me maybe turn this back on me. That was really deep. So wherever you are, just stay there. Be with yourself, be with your feelings, hold yourself. Whatever you need to make yourself feel better, if that's giving yourself a hug, wrapping yourself in the blanket, if it's going, get a drink. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. You got in touch with some really deep stuff just now. Okay. So you can always access this video anytime, and you learn some pretty critical things about how to deal with shame. So I would highly recommend revisiting this video again and again, getting in touch with unrepressing your shame, as well as getting in touch with speaking about healthy shame, okay? Okay, but since this is a video and not a live thing, well, it was a live thing when I did it. It's live right now, but since you will be watching this as a video, if you have anything to say, address, write them in the comments. I will go back and read them. I will be re-uploading this as a series, probably with better audio and things in the future. But at either rate, if this information is helpful, please use it. Please share it with other people. And yeah, please use it and please share it, okay? We all need to help each other get through COVID-19 and all the craziness going on in the world, okay? Okay, with that, namaste. Thank you so much for taking the time out for your feelings and take the time out to do this with me. And please have a nice day, nice week. You are responsible for your feelings, for getting in touch with your feelings. No one else is going to do it for you. I can promise you that, okay? Okay. Till next week, take care.